RDAP federal prison time. Hope you guys are having an amazing afternoon, weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. I know most of you are on the East Coast, so it's getting pretty late. Hey Johnny, how are you doing, bud? I'm glad you all could make it tonight. So I wanted to talk for a second a little bit about an email that I received over the weekend. It's kind of puzzling, and I'm not sure if it's a real email. I do believe it's from somebody, a possible prison consultant, but I don't believe it's a real email address or even a real name. The name was, where is it? Adam Steinberg. I do not know an Adam Steinberg in the industry, so I'm not sure if any of you know an Adam Steinberg that offers prison consulting, but I received an email, and the email says, I would like to know why you're out to badmouth all other consultants. You have only been in this field for under 2 years. Most of us have been doing this for several years prior to your arrival. You seem to feel the urge to discuss how much we all charge our clients. For what purpose are you doing this, Dan? It appears you're using sales tactic to improve your own business, even if that means causing your colleagues severe issues. I'm asking you out of professional courtesy to reconsider your approach. I have spoken to several other consultants in this space who agree with me. We are all trying to make a living for our families. We are better off as allies, not enemies. Again, I ask you to reconsider your approach. Sincerely, ally or enemy, your choice. So I'm not even sure what to make of that. Because I don't go on here bad-mouthing other consultants unless they've clearly done something deserving bad-mouthing, like, offering super shady tactics like, RDAP law consultants, which we've talked about them. I've got a video about them, but other guys, they charge what they want to charge. And if somebody feels comfortable going with them, that's, who's to say what's too much or what's not enough? I'm not here to dictate a price. I just charge what I feel comfortable with charging. I don't think there's a necessary need for somebody to pay between $5,000 and $15,000 for a prison consultant, unless you're getting some ridiculous additional service where it's hands-on and they're going to be at your house and, something more than what an average prison consultant would be doing. So this Adam Steinberg, if you're watching this video, I would love to know a little bit more about what you're referring to and how I'm affecting what everybody else is doing. The thing is, guys, if I'm in this space and I know that I can get the work done for a fraction of what other people are charging without sacrificing any of the services, the only realistic conclusion to come to is, why is everybody else charging so much? So I have to imagine that it's maybe changing the platform a little bit, the way everybody else is doing their business. I don't think there's anything wrong with readjusting what you need to do to help people. And if you're really in this industry to help people and you really want to see people that are dealing, I've got a client that if they hadn't been able to find me, everybody else they spoke to wouldn't talk to them because of the fees. And this client was borderline like not knowing what to do, to the point where she felt like there was days where she literally wanted to kill herself because of the thought of what federal prison might be like. And to know that there's those kind of people out there that can't afford $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, it's very scary and sad to wonder how many of those people over the last several years have just been swept under the rug. And I was one of them. A lot of you guys were some of them. And it's just disheartening to know that there's people out there that will prey on people. And you got to remember, we're cons, right? We've been to federal prison, which means we've done stuff in the past that we're not proud of, which led us to federal prison. So some people aren't able to change that mentality, or they struggle with it and they don't know how to combat it. They don't have exercises. They don't know what to do to, when they're having a stressful day, instead of just putting in the hard work and the effort and doing it for the right reason. And I'm a firm believer in the way I am now. that if you put in the hard work and the effort continuously and consistent, benefits will come behind that for you. You don't have to go out there and take advantage of people and go for that one giant fish, because all that's going to do is it's going to set a tone throughout the entire industry that you're overcharging, you're manipulating people, especially once they find out there's other people in the industry that are doing it for a fraction. It's like, what's the difference? Why is this guy charging $1,500 and this guy's charging $15,000? There must be a difference. This guy for $15,000 must be offering some kind of a service that the guy for $1,500 not offering. So once somebody finds out that that's not the case, that's usually when they'll get a little bit upset. Not everybody is a super wealthy, high-end, white-collar criminal that has no problem stroking a check for $15,000. Nothing, and I mean, hey, if you've got $15,000 to spend, you're better off spending that on your legal defense. You're better off putting that money away, making sure your family's taken care of. Because what we've seen, and we've seen it with a lot of you, is we've seen with a halfway decent attorney and a good prison consultant, mountains can be moved because you've got both ends being taken care of. The problem is a lot of people spend all this additional money on attorneys thinking they're going to get the services that a prison consultant offers. And what we're finding out is that's not the case. Most attorneys aren't really familiar at all with RDAP. They really don't know what you need to say in your PSR to get into RDAP. They don't understand about the programs. They don't really know much. They don't explain the difference between a camp, a low, a medium, a pen. You don't know where you're going, but you know you're trying to work out a plea deal, which a lot of it is cooperation, 5K1s, Rule 35s, where you're going to be possibly telling on other people. But what your attorneys don't tell you is, depending on where you go in the prison system, that could be an issue for you. And it's not because the attorneys are trying to not disclose this. It's just not something that they pay attention to. They don't understand that. A lot of attorneys are under the impression that your PSR cannot be sent into prison, even though it legally can't be sent in. They don't know that people find ways of getting them. People find ways of finding out what your charges are. Did you tell? Are you a sex offender? People find these things out. They know how to dig and find these things out. So when you get to prison, if you're not going to a camp or a low, these are the things that a prison consultant that has got your best interest, that is actually trying to help you, these are the things that they're going to help ease, that they're going to make sure you're potentially making the better decisions and you're not wasting your time in the wrong direction. So again, a halfway decent attorney piled up with a good prison consultant, you're getting the service that you're really looking for. You're kind of wrapped up all in one with under that little umbrella to what you're trying to get done. So I'm not going to consider. I have considered, not talking about other prison consultants' fees live on YouTube. I struggled with that for a long time and what my real reason was doing it for. And I had to ask myself, am I only talking about other prison consultants' fees because I want to grow my business and put them out of business? No. I think there's plenty of business for all of the prison consultants out there. And there are some really good prison consultants out there. I'm not saying that they're all bad. But what I'm saying is I think most of them charge a little bit too much. And if they really want to help people, bring down the prices and start helping people, because there's a lot of people that need help. Not everybody's going to find rdapdan, and I may not be a fit for everybody. I may rub somebody the wrong way. Somebody may not like the way I sip my coffee. Somebody may not like the way I smile. Somebody may not like my shirt. Who knows? There's always going to be something, or there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you for whatever reason, and that's just the way the world works. So with that known, I still don't want to see people not get the help that they're seeking. So if there's another prison consultant out there that you feel more comfortable with, but you just can't afford them, well, hey, maybe you can use rdapdan as a negotiating tactic. Well, I spoke to another prison consultant who's only charging $1,500. If you're willing to match his fee, I think I might go with you, Mr. Prison Consultant B, C, or D. And what are they going to say? No, sorry. They're eventually, at some point, they're going to start coming down on their prices. The gap's going to get closer and closer and closer, guys. It's just the way the world works. Let me read some of these comments here. Maybe you'll do such a good job for me and get such good feedback, you'll have to raise your price because of supply and demand. I've thought about that too. And I think before I raised my price, I would groom other consultants and other coaches to help out and take some of the business, because there's too many people, Juan, that just can't. I mean, there's a lot of people like can't afford the $1,500. Like that is an enormous stretch for a lot of people. A lot of people are on payment plans. So if I were to raise the fee from there, I just feel that that then there'd be closing the door on more and more people every day. I wish I could reduce the fee. And again, once this YouTube channel gets to where it needs to be, need about 10,000 more subscribers. But once it gets there and we see money coming in from YouTube money, then we'll be able to reduce those prices. So is everybody ready for the 4th of July? So I just wanted to make that clear in case you guys, I don't know, see some weird comments. I don't know if this guy's going to post on any of my videos or not. Kind of hope he does. I feel like antagonizing him a little bit. I'm in one of those moods today where it's like, yeah, I'm not really the one to like try to flex your just the email. It was just a very, very shitty email, first off, to send somebody from, like, I don't even believe it's a real email address. What does this guy email? prisoncoach33467@gmail.com. So I don't even know if that's a real email. I mean, I'm sure it's a real email, but I think it might have just been made up to email me out of, I'm sure whoever sent me that email, the last thing they want is me to talk about who they really are on Facebook. And you guys know I would do it. I mean, Facebook, on YouTube. I take pride in what we do. And I always tell you guys, the best results are going to come from when you guys come to me. The sooner, the better. When you wait till the last minute, when you wait until the very end, and then you're trying to make things happen, it makes it rougher on what we need to be able to do. Once that PSR gets done, if it's done the wrong way or there's stuff missing out of it or you didn't disclose certain things, it can be hard to go back in and get that fixed. It can be hard to get the BOP to come around and say, okay, yes, this person does need RDAP, even though it's not in their PSR. So a lot of exceptions have to be made, a lot of letter writing, a lot of going back and forth. So it's much better when you guys come on. The earlier, the better. And even just watching these videos early on, some of you will never need to call me, just making right decisions early on, knowing what to do, what not to do. It's really half the battle. The other half is what you do with the information that you learn, how you act on it. Hello, Darlene. Are you, is that Darlene? Darlene, is this Darlene? Is this Darlene from the gym, Darlene? I don't know a lot of Darlenes, so I'm assuming that's Darlene from the gym. If it is, what's up? But yeah, guys, so I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. I had a lot of fun this last week, doing videos with Zach and, talking to you guys. I definitely feel a little wiped out. I'm really happy tomorrow is a holiday, or 4th of July. I don't know. I'm probably just going to go relax, watch some fireworks, eat some hamburgers and hot dogs, and probably call it up an early night. I've never been a huge 4th of July person. I mean, when my kids were little, go watch fireworks, yeah, but man, it's always so busy and it's hot outside and you're crowded, you're trying to squeeze in and watch fireworks, so I don't know. So I could probably do without it. Probably just watch a good movie, relax. Todd's doing well, guys. Todd's, as you guys know, Todd's serving his 9-year prison sentence. He's doing really well. Serge is doing really well. Serge really likes Sheridan better than Lompoc. He likes the transfer, making it over there. So everybody's doing really good, guys. I just want to make sure that everybody has their plan in place. If you have a plan now and you start plotting and planning and thinking about little goals to achieve your bigger goals, these short-term goals, guys, they are going to lead you to where you ultimately want to be. So if you know you want to get out of prison as soon as possible and you want to serve it at the best possible location, you can't just say that's what you want to do and then do it. You got to actually come up with a roadmap of what you need to do. What is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4? Each one of those steps is going to lead to the next step. You can't really skip over steps and expect to have good results. There's a saying. They say, there's no elevator to the top. you got to take the stairs. So if you're really looking to achieve the best possible outcome, you guys got to be willing to go up those stairs and pay attention, take notes, make phone calls, reach out to people like me, reach out to other prison consultants if that's going to be what you need. But the big important thing is asking the questions and not feeling like you're scared to call, or you don't know what to say, or you're ashamed of your crime. I get it. We all fucked up. We all wish we hadn't done it. We all made mistakes. Sex offenders, downloading porn, child porn. I know, like, you wish you'd never did it, but at the same time, you have to, you've got to be willing to not just take responsibility for it, but you got to figure out what it is that you're going to do. So when you do get released, this does not become a reoccurring issue. And that's something we're working really hard on right now, is to put together a channel explaining basically the mind of a sex offender and what causes these things that you might be able to identify with if that's something that you struggled with. And I know it's a very taboo subject. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. It turns off a lot of people. But look, I'm not here to make friends with people. I'm not here because, I think everybody's a really nice guy or a really nice lady. I'm here because people are going through the most desperate, anxiety-ridden time of most of their lives. This is something that most people don't ever face, and we've all had bad days in life prior to this. We've all had days that we thought, man, shit can't get any worse, and then a federal indictment gets slapped down on you, and then that feels like you're at the bottom. Nothing else really matters. You feel like your life is over. You can't sleep at night. You don't know who to talk to, especially if you have a taboo crime, a sex offense crime, a picture crime, downloading pictures. You're completely screwed as far as in your mind, where do you go? Most people can't even bring that to their family. A lot of people cannot discuss that with their family without possibly getting shunned. But the ultimate reality is you're going to be released from prison, and probably not that lengthy of a time. You're going to be in a couple years and you'll be back out. And how are you going to cope? Now you're going to get out. You're going to be a registered sex offender. People are going to know, and you have to be able to deal with that level of anxiety. And you can't just put it on hold now and say, I'm going to deal with it when I get out. You got to start planning that now. How are you going to go about it? How are you going to explain this to people? Are you going to explain this to people? Where are you going to choose to live? These are all things that have to start getting dealt with. These are all major concerns from people that have those type of crimes. So I'm not here to pick and choose who needs help and who doesn't need help. At the end of the day, almost everybody in this room, the one thing we all have in common is we're getting released from prison. And that means you've got to have coping skills to be able to get through your day-to-day. And if I can in any way, shape, or form help people developing those coping skills, and I'm developing mine as we're going, guys. This has been a work in progress for me. And I've told you guys before how therapeutic it is for me to be able to do this, because it's a constant reminder of where I was and what I went through. And actually, it reminds me of how much worse it actually could have been. It could have been way worse than it was. I could have went to a prison that I wasn't prepared for. I could have not gotten into RDAP. I could have been sentenced to a lot lengthier of time. And a lot of things worked out for me in the ways that they needed to work out. But it wasn't, oh, I'm so lucky, or, man, the sun was shining on me that day. It was because I was willing to bust my ass. I put my faith in God, but it wasn't blind faith. I put my faith in God, and I allowed to recognize the signs and the path that he laid out in front of me. And when I saw a sign, I took it, I read it, I acted upon it. I didn't just sit there thinking somebody's supposed to do something for me. I realized real early in prison that nobody is going to do shit for you. The prison staff's not going to lift a finger for you. Once in a blue moon, you might get somebody that actually, it's like in school, that one teacher that cares. Everybody's had that one teacher that's like, and when you say, oh, this was a great teacher, she cared. They had to show so little interest. Just a little bit of interest for a teacher makes them amazing. And that just goes to show you that most teachers are so shitty and don't care that when you have one that just shows a little bit of interest, it stands out. It's the same way in prison. When you do find that guard, that case manager, the unit team manager, you find one that cares. Usually they care just a little bit, but that's more than anybody else cares. So you harness it and you grab onto it and you intensify that. So remember that, guys, that prison is not your friend. They are not going to make your life easier in prison. They are going to make you do everything you need to do, especially when you need stuff from the outside. So we do a lot of stuff with guys that are in right now that need stuff done, that found out they got detainers. They need to find out where the warrants are out of. We do a lot of that. We do the background searches and check on people to make sure they don't have any open warrants or open cases. If some of you are wondering that and you need to find out about it, we can check and we can see if you have anything open or pending. The last thing you want to do is you think you're going to a camp and you pop into a low. There's only one reason you're probably going to a low. Either your points are really high on your custody level, which most of you would know that if that were the case, or B, you've got an open charge or an open case that's preventing you from going to a camp, which also prevents you from going into RDAP and also prevents you from going into the halfway house. These are things that can really throw a wrench in your plan. So if you're not properly prepared, it always comes back to preparing. If you're not properly prepared, these could be the potential issues that are going to stop you from everything that you're trying to achieve in prison. You're still going to get released. You still can turn your life around, but you may have to spend additional time for that little bit of laziness in your life where you didn't pick up the phone and call somebody. Dan, when you're in prison, do they already have your release date, or how does it work if you're going to do RDAP? Johnny, you're pretty much, when you get there, you're going to get what's called a sentencing and computation sheet, and it's going to show you it's going to give you, next time, remind me, Johnny, if you shoot me a text, I'll pull it out after this video, and on Wednesday's video, I'll actually show you what one looks like. But it's a sentencing and computation sheet, which basically gives you a breakdown of any good time that you've had. So like if you spent any time in county, or not good time, any time served that you've had, if you spent any time in like county jail or whatever. It's also going to estimate your good time credit for your 15% that you get off. It's going to estimate that, and it's going to give you an expected release date. It doesn't build in your halfway house date. It will tell you when your home eligibility date is, which is basically that's home confinement. So a lot of people think, they see that and they think, oh, that's when the release date is. No. Your release date is whatever the date it says. Your home eligibility date is 10% of your sentence, and that just means that's the most time you can do on home confinement. It's not a guarantee. Doesn't mean you're going to go to home confinement on that date. That just means that's the max of amount of time that you can do on home confinement. So there's a lot to understand in prison, and the worst part about it is everybody in prison, inmate.com, all these guys give you fucked up information. There is guys that will tell you that the way they calculate it is, if you're going to get into RDAP, they take your year off first, then they calculate your good time. No, your good time always comes off first. If you qualify for RDAP, you're going to get your time off after the good time has already come off. So then you get your additional year, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is, for depending on how long your sentence is. Has nothing to do with your halfway house. Then you'll find out as you get closer to the end how much halfway house time you're going to get. If you're doing RDAP, you're going to get 6 months. You can get up to a year. Most of you are going to qualify for the Second Chance Act, which is 12 months of halfway house. Portion of that will be done at the halfway house. A portion can be done at home confinement. So there's just a lot of stuff to wrap your mind around. And the best thing to do is having somebody in your corner that when you have these questions, so you don't sit there and do a million calculations for a couple of months and not even sure if you're doing it right. Having somebody in your corner that can quickly give you these answers back, that is so invaluable itself. What kind of halfway house time or home confinement what kind of halfway house time or home confinement work you think you might be able to pull off? I'm 300 on, so 300. I mean, so you're talking about just over a year. You're not going to get much 2-3 months, 4 months halfway house, and a month and a half of that maybe on home confinement. Juan, just to give you an idea. Are you asking 366 day sentence, year and a day? So are you asking that for a particular reason? Is that something you might be looking at now, or are you just kind of asking? Can I do home confinement instead of halfway house? I mean, yeah, technically, like Johnny, you can do 10% on home confinement, but typically they won't send you straight to home confinement. Like, very rarely does the BOP send you straight from prison to home confinement. Typically, they're going to send you to the halfway house, and then the halfway house is going to send you to home confinement. When you're on home confinement, you're under the halfway house jurisdiction. So you're not under the BOP. The halfway house monitors you while you're on home confinement. So they're going to be the ones to release you. They're going to be the ones to put an ankle monitor on you. They've got to go out and verify your address. So it's always better to get to the halfway house as soon as possible, so that lead time they need to go out and verify your residence will give them the time so you can do your maximum home confinement. I've seen some guys that were at the halfway house with plenty of time, and the halfway house was just so busy they didn't get out to verify the address, or probation didn't get out to verify the address, and they had to wait like an extra 2 or 3 months to go to home confinement, which they were eligible for it sooner. How do you work on home confinement? Hey, another question. How do you apply for jobs at halfway houses or home confinement if you don't have internet and can't apply online? Well, you can go to the library. You can get passes. When you're in the halfway house, that's the one thing they'll let you do, is they'll let you go on job searches. And if you don't know where to go on jobs, like let's say you want to go on job interviews, but you don't know where you want to go. So you get a pass, and all your passes got to be asked for basically a week ahead of time. So if I want to go somewhere next week, I got to let them know this week where I want to go next week. So I might say, hey, I'm going to go to the public library to use the computer to apply for jobs, or look up places that I can go interview at. Then you get a list of places, you call them up, you say, hey, I'd like to come in for an interview on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. Then you got to put a pass into the halfway house. They're almost every single time going to approve a job pass to go out and apply for a job. They'll even usually do that on very short notice, because that's the one thing they really want you to do, is get a job. So you can use the public, and then same thing. You're allowed to work while you're on home confinement. You just can't go do whatever you want to do. You can go to work, come home. It's not like, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to stop off at the grocery store on my way back, or I'm going to grab a bite to eat. No, it's point A, point B. They know exactly how long it takes you to get from from home to work, and from work to home. If you're running out of gas, you got to call them and say, hey, I'm stopping at a gas station to get gas. You're more than likely going to be on some kind of a GPS, whether it's tracking on your phone or it's on an ankle monitor. I had both. I originally had the ankle monitor, and then they upgraded me from the ankle monitor to an app on my phone, which is almost equal pain in the ass because of how frequently you have to check in with it. But if you want to get a job, you're going to get a job. There's no question. If you don't have internet at home, you have to go to the library. It's just the way it is. Not everybody has internet. Most halfway houses, some have internet, some don't. The one I was at had one little computer. It had real basic internet on there, but a lot of the websites were blocked. Like, you couldn't go to Craigslist. And that's where a majority of people that look for jobs, Craigslist is one of the biggest job sources out there, and they had it blocked. So it was real frustrating to use their computer system there at the halfway house. So when I was originally looking for a job, before I ended up getting the one working for the company in Florida, I was at the library, just going on Craigslist and, looking up local places, getting passes to go out and just apply. Yeah, no, you can't get to-go food. You can't bring food back with you. You can't, let's say you had leftover lunch, or say your boss, bought you a sandwich, or a Subway sandwich or whatever, and you have half of it. You can't bring the other half back to the halfway house with you. The only kind of food Usually you can order delivery from certain places they approve. And like, let's say you order, Papa John's pizza. When they bring it to the halfway house has to open it. And technically they could put gloves on and kind of, finger fuck your food and go through it and make sure there's nothing in there. But most of them just open up, look at it. And as long as it's coming from a restaurant that they verify, it's not a big deal. But like your friends and family can't bring you food, can't bring you snacks. Most halfway houses, you can't have any snacks in there anyway, other than in the kitchen. They don't want you eating in the dorms. It's not like prison. In prison, in your dorm, you can eat in your room, you can eat wherever you want. You can't have that kind of stuff in the halfway house. Again, each halfway house, they don't all run the same. So that's just how the halfway house was where I was at. Crystal, do you still have to check in? When you're on home confinement, you have to do the same check-ins. You have to call. You don't have to go to the halfway house. You have to go to the halfway house for random UAs. Like they'll call you randomly and say, "Hey, we need you to come in," and they don't tell you why. It's probably a UA, but they don't piss test or whatever. But they don't tell you why. They're just like, "Hey, we need you to come in the next hour." It's like, the next hour? It's like, shit, okay, because they don't want to give you time to flush out your system or anything like that. So haul ass over to the halfway house, they make you pee in a cup, and then you're out of there. Can you get PF Chang's pass? No. You can't get passes to go to restaurants unless you're going to apply for a job. Now, if you're going to apply for a job at PF Chang's while you're waiting, I'm sure you could eat some PF Chang's, but you cannot get a pass and be like, hey, I want to put a pass in for PF Chang's because that sounds like a good lunch. Nope. Can't do it. That's why it's real important to try to get a job so you're not in the halfway house, because at least when you're at work, you can eat good food, you can order food, people you work with are probably bringing food in and ordering, whatever. That was one of my favorite thing about my job is I was right downtown, and I was on pretty good terms with the halfway house by this point, so I got approved to be able to walk down to this little diner, which was like a block away from my office, and I could walk to this diner for lunch every day, and it was just amazing because I could get out and I could go do something and sit and see real people. Even though it wasn't the best food in the world, it was just nice to be able to get approved to do that where other people weren't getting approved. So it was like getting special privileges on top of it. But that's what happens when you just don't give them any shit. Don't give them a reason. No, you can't have lunch with your family. One, there are some halfway houses that I'm hearing about that are doing like family passes like once a week where you can go to like dinner with your family or a movie with your family for a couple of hours. But like on a regular, you can't be like, hey, I'm going to go have dinner with my mom today, or I'm going to go have lunch with my mom. No, you can't go places for lunch. They give you lunch, they provide you food. So if you don't have money and you can't afford lunch, they're going to give you food. You're going to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner from the halfway house. They'll give you bagged lunches to take with you. It's usually the shitty sandwiches, and they provide you breakfast in the morning. They provide you dinner at night. Johnny, if you go to prison and you have traffic tickets not paid, does that affect getting into RDAP? Johnny, that's been a debatable question. Some tickets can turn into, depends on what kind of ticket it is, and if the ticket turns into a warrant, then yes. If it's just like an unpaid parking ticket, but it's not a warrant, no. An unpaid ticket is not going to prevent you from going into RDAP. I had some tickets that I found out about while I was in prison that didn't affect me at all. I mean, it affected me other ways, a pain in the ass, but it didn't affect me from RDAP or halfway house. What's up, Chris? Welcome, bud. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of insight. Look, there's going to be a lot of halfway house questions. I probably should try to do another video on halfway houses, and maybe not a live video, maybe a pre-recorded, so I can focus on all the main topics and try to hit them in a 10 or 15 minute period of time so people can tune into it. Chris is getting ready for that 4th of July. Who's barbecuing? I'm sure everybody in here is barbecuing. I think we're going to barbecue. We've got some steak, hot dogs, hamburgers, Shelly's brother, and girlfriend might come over and we might go cook on the grill for a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. But Shelly's Salon is coming along really nice. For those of you that I told you, Shelly opened up a hair salon here in Spokane. It's looking amazing. She did an amazing job decorating it, almost to the point where it's like, if I knew you had these kind of decoration skills, this house would be decorated quite a bit better than it is. So, John, I want to pound beers. You want to pound beers? Are you not allowed to drink now? Is drinking alcohol something against your probation? I know when I was on probation, pretrial probation, I was allowed to drink. I'm allowed to drink now if I want to. I'm not really a big drinker. Only on the weekends. Weekend warrior? No, I'm not at all. I'm a weekend bum. My weekend consists of, like, if it's 9 o'clock, I need to go home. Pretrial says you can't drink. That stinks. Yeah, it's extra rough. But hey, man, got to do what you got to do. Live another day. Get through it, right? Well, I know everybody's trying to get prepared for the 4th of July, so we can go ahead and wrap this up, and I can go eat some dinner. But does anybody have any halfway house questions, or if anybody knows this guy, this claiming to be prison consultant, Adam Steinberg, and that's basically telling me to stop outing all of the other prison consultants' fees, or else he's going to be my enemy versus my ally. And, I don't really know what to say about that other than I don't care. I'm not here to make other prison consultants' lives easier. It's not my job. My job's not here to tell the world it's okay to charge somebody $10,000 or $15,000. That's not why I do what I do. That was the reason why I didn't like prison consultants. If you watch my earlier videos, it's like, prison consultants. Because when I spoke to them going through this myself, they wouldn't talk to me. It was like, I told them my situation. I was terrified. They talked to me a little bit for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then they kind of start angling in on how much money you can afford. And I was like, I can give you $500. Feds took everything. I don't have anything. I don't have family that's got money. Nobody's going to lend me 10 grand or 5 grand. And that was it. That was like, well, sorry, unfortunately, you're probably going to, I was told, I can't remember, I wish I knew who it was or else I would talk about it. I was told by a prison consultant that I was probably going to go to a rough prison and I wouldn't get into RDAP because I didn't know the process. And I believed him. If I would have had the 10 grand, I would have spent it because I believed him. I believed him I was fucked. Because when I read the BOP, when you go on the BOP and you read like rules and regulations, I mean, it's pretty daunting. And they make it very like, you read it and it's like, okay, so how do I take that? Does it mean this or does it mean that? And it got to the point where I felt so overwhelmed that I just had to like, sometimes just shut off and say, man, I just got to put faith in the process and hope that just the fact that I'm trying is going to be enough, because I did not know what to do to get in RDAP. I had no fucking idea. Didn't know what RDAP was going to be like. I had no clue. I knew that it could take a year off my sentence, and I knew nothing else about it. I knew very little. I almost felt like it was a pipe dream. Like, does RDAP even really exist? Because I can't find shit about it on the internet. And these prison consultants are like, oh no, it really exists, but if you don't know what you're doing, most people don't get in it. Most people don't qualify for RDAP, and that's their sales pitch, man. And it's scary. And they use that fear to fish out $10,000 out of your pocket. And anybody that's got an extra $10,000 in their pocket is going to fucking spend it. They are going to spend it, unless they're on rdapdan's YouTube channel. Sorry, prison consultants. I guess I am kind of throwing them all under the bus, huh? I feel a little bit bad for them now. Do they have you do UAs if your thing isn't drug or alcohol related? Oh yeah. You got it. When you're in the halfway house, you UA religiously once a week minimum, regardless of what your charge is. You're definitely going to be UAing. And what a shitty job. What a shitty job. Some guys, they like inmates, they love to mess with the guys that work at the halfway house. They have to watch, because they have to watch you pee. And they'll go in there and just basically make every foul type of, just whatever you can imagine someone doing when they're trying to pee, they do it. So I did not envy, like, thinking about, man, this is your job. You have to come watch people pee. That's not a glorified job. That is not a job like, oh, what'd you do today? I watched grown men pee all day. And some farted on themselves all day. You know, some are in there calling me, you know, they would go in there and call these guys gay and everything else, you know, pecker watcher and, you know, what it's what they have to. And these guys don't make a lot of money that work at the halfway house, at least here in Washington. It was barely above minimum wage, and minimum wage was $9 and change. I think these guys are making like under $11, but you're a glorified babysitter. It's not a rocket science job. You just have to kind of like walk around, count how many people are in there, and, you know, because you're a babysitter. You're dealing with a bunch of kids. Most people in the halfway house do not know how to act, and that's unfortunate because it does ruin it for the people that are just trying to go do what they got to do and get out as soon as possible. But the staff just assumes you're going to push the envelope and you're going to try to cut every corner you can, because the majority does that. So you're going to get lumped into the majority at first. And if you can go in there with that concept of knowing that you're going to be treated like a stupid criminal, somebody that can't act right, somebody that doesn't have any manners, somebody that doesn't know how to be respectful, you're going to be treated like that probably at least for a week to 3 weeks. That's just the way it is. And if you know that going into it, and you can set those expectations to just, I got to deal with this to get to the next level. When you get to the next level, you start to get a little bit relaxed. People stop messing with you, not inmates, but staff members will stop assuming. They start to treat you with a little bit more respect. They'll start to say hi to you. They'll start to say, you know, I'm glad you don't give us a hard time. We appreciate that, because most guys give these guys hard time, especially the women. When a female walks through a male halfway house, a lot of these guys have been locked up for a very long time, and most of the females are a little bit younger, because like I said, the jobs don't pay a lot. The jobs pay anywhere from like $12, $13, $14 at the most. So you've got college people just getting out of college, people just in between jobs. You know, you don't really need any degrees or any type of experience to go work at a halfway house. You just have to be willing to put up with bullshit. So some of these girls are, you know, on the cute side, and they're walking through the halfway house with a bunch of men, and you can just imagine what these animals are saying to these women as they walk through where they sleep. Guys are in their boxers, no shirt on, because they're in their sleeping area, and they know the women's getting ready to come through, so they start doing push-ups, and I mean, it's a fucking shit show. I was so happy to be out of the halfway house. Memories, not good ones. But I did meet some really cool, interesting people at the halfway house too. You know, anywhere you go, there's going to be those type of people, and then there's going to be a small niche amount of people that you connect with, and you're like, all right, if I got to do my time, I'm going to go do it with these people, because at least we're on some kind of a level. Hey, Dan, I have 6 days before I self-surrender. McLovin, McLovin's going in. How much time do they give you again, McLovin? You ever fucking hear? Oh, I was trying to read what you wrote, Juan, but you deleted it too fast. Most people do not find a job that quick, Crystal, because they don't really look. They have excuses to why they can't find jobs. They don't really want to work. They get a job, then they get fired because they don't go in, and they'll make excuses why they didn't go in. It's a lazy pattern. But the people that want jobs, there's jobs. You just got to be willing to take them. It took me about less than a month, and I was working at a job that I wanted to work at. So a lot of other guys get jobs quicker than that. You just got to be willing to like hustle. You got to be willing to like get there, have your shit in order, start going out, not sitting around like acting all dazed and confused. You just got to realize that anytime you get somewhere new, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve to getting familiar and comfortable with your new surrounding. You just got to fucking get on it. No, Juan, absolutely not. That's a trip back to. I do know a guy that did that, and he went back. They sent him to county for like 30 days. But that's a big no-no. Big no-no. It happens. Happens all the time. Not in my world. Like, I wouldn't even dream of crossing that line. Absolutely not. But yeah, guys all the time. And I'm sure the women, like if you're in a co-ed halfway house where there's men and women inmates, you're not allowed to do anything with each other. You'll violate and go back to jail if they find out you're messing around with one of the inmates. So yeah, I did not even I don't even make eye contact with people in there because you can get reckless eyeballs in there. You don't need any type of grief like that. So yes, it happens frequently. Probably more than we even know about, but I've stay away. It's believable, Juan. I mean, it's very, very, very likely that he did, but again, remember, a lot of people are shit talkers too. They like to play a big game and talk a bunch of stuff that didn't really happen. Everybody, in prison, what you're going to also learn in prison, guys, is these people you meet, and you're going to see them. There's a lot of people in prison that are telling you they're multi-millionaires, and they've got, $500,000 cars, and they've got jets, yet they don't have shit for commissary. They don't have nothing, but they live these fantasies in prison because it's really hard to debunk somebody's story in prison where you don't have like Google at your fingertips. You got to rely on outside information, and do you really care that enough to verify it? So there's a lot of shit talkers in prison for sure. And you just got to avoid them. And there's a lot of shit talkers in the halfway house. There's a lot of shit talkers in life in general. And those are the type of people that brag about stuff. Like if your buddy really did that, that's great, whatever. But I wouldn't say that's like an accomplishment. When you see the type of people that work at the halfway house, I don't know if I'd go around bragging about something like that. And no offense to anybody that may be working at a halfway house. Not everybody is shady at the halfway house. Some people get there and realize what a fucked up job this is. I got to get out of this as soon as possible. But the halfway house, not a great place. It's not the worst place in the world, but it's probably up there. It's worse than federal prison in a lot of ways. And it's better than federal prison in a lot of ways because you have more freedom, but you have more responsibility. You have more scrutiny, but you can eat real food. You can go to work. You can see your family on the weekends. You can get approved to go home for 48 hours every week. Once you've been there like 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get your weekend passes in, and boom. You go to work. You work your 40 hours a week or 80 hours a week, whatever it is you're doing to stay out of the halfway house. Friday, come 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever. You're piecing out of there, and you're gone until Sunday night. You got to come back Sunday night. Now, if your days off are like in the middle of the week, like if you have a Tuesday and Wednesday off, you can do your weekend socials on Tuesday and Wednesday. They're going to, they'll work with you on your schedule as far as that's concerned. But just remember, none of this is going to be a walk in the park. All of this is just getting you one step closer to home. And I'm right there with you, Johnny, but you'll see what I mean. When you get to the halfway house, there's a part of you that's going to go, man, I wish I was still at the halfway house. And honestly, if I could have stayed in prison, but went home on the weekends and went to work and then back to prison, like let's say prison was local where I was at, and I could go to work all day, go back into federal prison at night, and then on the weekend go home, I would have rather have done that than spend time at the halfway house. It was just way more to do. Did I find? Yes, Crystal, I did. If you watch my earlier, like my videos from like a year ago, my earlier videos, all of those videos were shot from my work, where I worked. I got lucky. I worked for a friend of mine who had a company in South Florida, and I was doing sales and logistics for his company from here in Washington, remotely. And so I had great hours. So yeah. Is that possible, Dan? What did I miss, Johnny? I'd rather be in the halfway house than prison. Is what possible? No, it's not possible, Johnny. If you're asking if it's possible to go to work from prison, no, it's not. Not from federal prison anyway. State prison has like work release camps and shit like that. But no, I'm just saying the living environment at the halfway house, the living environment at federal prison, to me, was way more acceptable than the living environment in the halfway house. But that's just my preference and everybody else that was at that halfway house. Crystal, there's a lot of people that hire felons, and most halfway houses have employer records of people that not specialize, but people that hire felons. So a lot of the stuff they'll give you, like they'll say, hey, here's 10 different companies that hire guys from our halfway house or hire ladies from our halfway house. Give them a call and see if they're hiring at the moment. They hire felons. So there's a lot of places that will hire felons. Here's the thing. You have to be able to willing to get out there and sell yourself when you're going for a job. If you have this mental defeated thought that I'm not going to get the job because I'm a felon, you're probably not going to get the job. But if you're like, I'm going to fucking go in there and kill this interview, kill it to the point where they're like, I forgot this guy was a felon. And if you go in there with that, I got this, dressed to impress, don't allow this prison mentality to carry over to your interview, just kill it. Comb your hair, brush your teeth, shave, put on some khakis, a polo shirt, or a suit and tie, depending on what type of job you're going to interview for. Chances are, if you hit enough places, somebody's going to call you. I come from the world of numbers. Sales is my background. I've been in sales and marketing since I can remember. And numbers are numbers. Numbers don't lie. And every single thing you do, there's a number associated to it. So it's just a matter of how many places do you have to walk in before you get a yes? And if you know for every 5 no's you're going to get a yes, then your goal should be to go to 15, 20 places, because then you know you're going to have options. You're going to have 3 or 4 places to choose from. Once you have that attitude of fucking I can do it, just like, I know a lot of you guys have checked out Zach's channel, Win with Zach. If you've been over to Zach's channel, Win with Zach, you just have to carry that attitude with you. You have to get yourself ready mentally. Preparation. That should be the fucking word of the day. Preparation, guys. Everything is about preparing. You can't walk into an interview self-defeated. Self-defeating thoughts will destroy you're going to get in there and you're going to stumble and you're not going to be sure of yourself, and you're not going to make eye contact. I go down to the halfway house a couple times a month. There's 2 of them here. I go to both of them, and we do like mock interviews. I help with the guys that are just getting released from prison that are at the halfway house, that are getting ready to go out for interviews, that are, a little bit scared, haven't done it in a long time, don't know how to do a resume. So I go in there and we do these mock interviews, and it's like, you got to make eye contact. You got to shake hands. You can't allow your past to dictate where you're going to go. So easier said than done, I get it. But a lot of you probably got jobs waiting for you when you get out. Some of you might have your own businesses when you get out, and you just got to realize there's going to be hurdles with that too. You can't necessarily get out and go run your own business right away. There might be stipulations. The halfway house might say no. So these are all things that you need to prepare for now, so you don't get blindsided last minute. Most people aren't going to be able to go work for their family unless it's like a super legit business that does your taxes, that takes out your L&I, all that stuff. If that stuff's not taken care of, you might struggle. You might struggle because you're going to get out thinking, oh, my friend's got a company, he's just going to hire me and I'm going to go watch TV all day. They're going to go out and verify your job. They do surprise pop-ins. They want to make sure you're really there. And you get caught once when you're supposed to be at work and you're not. Ankle monitor gets slapped on you. It's GPS. They know exactly where you are 24/7. And now you're like, at least look. If you don't have a GPS ankle monitor on and you're going from halfway house to work, and you want to stop at the gas station and grab a cup of coffee, you can do that. I'm not going to say, people don't do that. I'm not going to say I didn't do that. I would, on my way to work every morning, I'd walk to the coffee shop, get a coffee, continue my way to work. But when they put that ankle monitor on you, they know where you are, like within like a 3-foot radius. So there is no deviating once you have an ankle monitor on. So do not push your luck. You're going to stop and get a coffee? No big deal. Even if they found out you stopped, hey, we saw you at Starbucks. I was on my way to work. I grabbed a coffee. Well, don't do it again. That's probably what they're going to say. It's not going to be the end of the world. You have to be willing to focus on your consequences. And if you can live with the consequence, then fucking do it. Go do what you want to do. If you say, the consequence might be this, and I'm okay with that. Consequence might be I might go to federal prison for doing this embezzlement. I'm okay with that. Okay, so go embezzle. Do what you want to do, and you're okay with going to federal prison. Most of us are not. Oh, sorry to hear that, Crystal. You just got to get out there. It's a numbers game, Crystal. I swear to God, it is. Get your resume ready. Get your resume ready. Go online. Look at a couple. Don't just do all that bullshit applying online, because we all know what happens with that stuff. People don't even look at resumes. You just need the resume because it's an official stupid piece of paper that nobody really looks at. You need to walk into these places. Boom, boom, boom. Are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? And somebody's going to say, well, all right, come on in. I got 5 minutes. And boom, you're in. Your foot's in the door. Razzle, dazzle them. Make them smile. Tell them, man, I'm first one in, last one to leave. I can be trustworthy. I'm a fast learner. I can type, whatever your skill set is. Brag about it a little bit. But say I'm humble, I'm willing to work hard, work my way up, but I want to work, So what do I got to do? And if you do that enough, you will get another job. That's the one thing. People complain, that's why I love what I do, because I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. But I've dealt with that my entire life, and I've never, ever in my entire life had a problem getting a job. With felony, I went out and applied. I got jobs. I was able to pick the one that I wanted when I got out of prison. Fresh out of prison, convicted felon. Had to go tell everybody where I was going to apply for jobs. Had to tell them I'm a convicted felon, what I did. And I didn't make a big deal about it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm a convicted felon. I worked for a doctor. He was over-prescribing pain medication. And I should have known better. I shouldn't have looked the other way. I fucked up. I went to prison. But, it's not who I am. I can do this job. I'll be the first one here, last one to leave. You give me 5% of your confidence, 10% of your confidence, I'll earn the rest. You want to let me work a week, see if you like me. If not, whatever, we'll go part our ways. Most people, if you approach it right, are going to give you a chance. Because what do they have to lose? If you suck and you're within that 90-day probation period, it's not like you can go collect unemployment or anything else. So what do they really have to lose? A week's worth of pay, whatever. It is what it is. Hey, Dan, is there video visits from home with inmate? Yep. They've got a webcam service now in federal prison where you can, it's not Skype, but it's like Skype. I forgot what it's called, but you can video chat with your family, and it's for 30 minutes. And I think it's like $4 or something like that, or $3. A lot of my clients do it with their family in prison. They tell me about it all the time. They go on their once or twice a month. They go visit them physically, and then almost every week they're doing video chat. Sometimes two times a week. All right, guys. So I gave you the hour. I was going to cut it out here about wow, that was like 30 minutes ago. But Johnny told me it was too early, so I had to ride or die. Had to keep Johnny happy. We didn't want Johnny upset. So we're good now, Johnny. But all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Do you guys have any last-minute questions for anything? Halfway house questions, prison consulting questions. Make sure you guys, look, I need to do another letter. I need to do another video on personal narratives and character reference letters because You got to remember how important those are for those of you that are getting ready, man. If you don't have your personal narrative and your character references, I'm telling you, you are making a huge mistake by not putting an effort into that. And if you haven't done them right, it's just as bad as not having them at all. So if you've got a personal narrative and character reference letters and you're not sure, and you're not exactly sure, I think you should send it to me and let me look at it. What's up, Kevin? I'm late. Did you find out who the email is from? Kevin, I do not know, other than what's on the email. The name says Adam Steinberg. The email address is prisoncoach33467@gmail.com. But I don't know who that is. I don't think it's a real person, to be honest. But basically, they're telling me in the email. Here, I'll read it to you, Kevin, since you just got here. I would like to know why you're out to badmouth all other consultants. You have only been in this field now for under 2 years. Most of us have been doing this for several years prior to your arrival. You seem to feel the urge to discuss how much we all charge our clients. For what purpose are you doing this, Dan? Appears you are using this as a sales tactic to improve your own business, even if that means causing the rest of us severe issues. I'm asking you out of professional courtesy to reconsider your approach. I have spoken to several others in this industry, and we all agree. We are all out here trying to make a living for our families. Again, I ask you to reconsider your approach. Sincerely, ally or enemy, your choice. It's like something out of a fucking stupid novel. Adam Steinberg, kiss my ass. That's what I got to say to Adam Steinberg, or whoever you are. Phony. Grow some cojones and make a YouTube video and talk about it on there. How about that, Adam Steinberg? I knew a guy named Andrew Steinberg in prison, and this guy fucking hilarious. Hilarious. Harvey, I owe you a phone call. I saw that you called. Did you want to chat tonight at all? I've got a little bit of free time, or is it too late for you? But if you want to talk now, I can call you when we hang up. Dang, I don't want to be president, Johnny. That's too much stress. It's stressful enough dealing with the 10 to 15 people in this room. I couldn't imagine the whole country. When you find out, please. Oh, trust me, Kevin. If I knew who it was, I'm sure that's why they did it under a phony email. I don't think that's a real email, but if I knew who it was, trust me, there'll be a whole YouTube video dedicated to that one, and really putting him on blast. But anyway, I'm just waiting for Harvey to reply here. Harvey, let me know if you want me to shoot you a call tonight or tomorrow. Or actually, tomorrow's the 4th. But if you want to talk tomorrow, whatever. Mayor of... I'm trying, Mayor. Me and Joe have actually talked several times. And lately, he's just been unreceptive. I don't know if he's just super busy, got a lot of stuff going on. But maybe you should post that on his video. I would love to. Me and Joe were supposed to do a video together. I talked to him on the phone. I haven't been able to get a hold of him now in a couple weeks, but yeah, we had a couple of really good, intense conversations talking about some really awesome stuff to do together. Because we have different angles, and I think we could help ourselves. So if you can reach out to him, Mr. Mayor, that would be amazing. Sounds like you got his ear. You're the mayor of After Prison Show. All right, guys, have an amazing night. Harvey, shoot me a text if you want to talk tonight, and I'll be available. I'm free for the rest of the evening. Just going to eat a little food. I appreciate that, Mayor. That's awesome to hear. All right, guys, have an amazing 4th of July. Be safe. Have a lot of fun. For those of you that this is going to be your last 4th before you go into federal prison, so enjoy it. Don't do anything stupid. Don't catch any additional charges. But, man, have a fucking blast and go out with a bang. And you have plenty of time to recover in federal prison. All right, guys, I'm rdapdan. Love every single one of you. Please tap that bell so you guys get notifications of all these upcoming videos. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Subscribe. Peace.